Krishna 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 Hare Rama Raghava Rama Raghava Rama Raghava Rakshamam Rama Raghava Rama Raghava Rama Raghava Rama Raghava Raksha Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Hare Krishna Girivara Hari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Hari Yashodanandana Brajadana Ranjana Ranjana Jamuna Tinam Sari Tira Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Gopi Janadalla Jaya Jaya Jamuna Tira Banantari Yamuna Tira Banantari Hare Krishna Hare Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Jaya Madhava की Transcendental Book Distribution की जय श्री श्री गणिताय की जय श्री श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्र देवी की जय श्री गिरि गोवर्धन की जय श्री श्री राधा माधव की जय श्री श्री राधा दामोदर की जय निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru, to Sri Gauranga, all glories to Sri Prabhupada ki. Om Jnanatimirandasya Gyanandana Sarakaya Taksuranmiritam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Manobistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Kamalam Sri Gurun Vaisnavamsya Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tvam Sajivam Sadram Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakanditam Cha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kancana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Vanchakalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Narayanam Namaskritya Dharam Chaiva Narotamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, let us first offer our respectful obeisances unto Narayana, Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, Nasta Prayeshabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatutamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. By regularness unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome within the heart becomes destroyed practically to nil, and loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahmasamitam Utamashloka Charitam Shakara Bhagavan Rishi Nishreyasaya Lokasya Dhanyam Swasya Namaha. This Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Granthas, the king of all Vedic literatures, is the literary incarnation of God. It is compiled by the incarnation of God, Srila Vyasadeva. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people. It is all successful, all blissful, and all Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhara, Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Surabhyay Namaha Om Surabhyay Namaha Om Surabhyay Namaha Mukam karoti vasaram pangom langayate girim Yatkripatamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam Yatkripatamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam Hare Krishna. Welcome to our Bhagavatam class. Continuing from Canto number 1, Chapter 3. Krishna is the source of all incarnations. And today's text is number 39. 39. Okay. Ateha Dhanya Bhagavanta Itham Yad Vasudeve Kila Akila Loka Nate Kurvanti Sarvatmakam Atma Bhavam Na Yatra Bhuyaha Parivarta Ugraha Ateha Dhanya Bhagavanta Itham Yad Vasudeve Kila Lokanate Kurvanti Sarvatmakam Atma Bhavam Nayatra Bhuya Parivarta Ugraha Ateha Dhanya Bhagavanta Itham Yadavasudeve Kila Lokanathe Kurvanti Sarvatmakam Atma Bhavam Nayatra Bhuya Parivarta Ugraha Ateha Dhanya Bhagavanta Itham Yad Vasudeve Khila Lokanathe Kurvanti Sarvatmakam Atma Bhavam Nayatra Bhuya Parivarta Ugraha Ateha Dhanya Bhagavanta Ittam Yad Vasudeve Kila Lokanathe Kurvanti Sarvatmakam Atma Bhavam Nayatra Bhuyaha parivarta ugraha. Ateha dhanya bhagavanta ittam Yad Vasudeve Kila Lokanathe Kurvanti Sarvatmakam Atma Bhavam Nayatra Bhuyaha Parivarta Ugraha. Ateha Dhanya Bhagavanta Ittam Yad Vasudeve Kila Lokanathe Kurvanti Sarvatmakam Atma Bhavam Nayatra Bhuyaha Parivarta Ugraha. Ateha Dhanya Bhagavanta Ittam Yad Vasudeve Kila Lokanathe Kurvanti Sarvatmakam Atma Bhavam Nayatra Bhuya Parivarta Ugraha. Atha. Thus, iha, in this world, dhanyaha, successful, bhagavantaha, perfectly cognizant, itam, such, yat, what, vasudeve, unto the personality of Godhead, Akila, all embracing, Lokanati, unto the proprietor of all the universes, Kurvanti, inspires, Sarva Atmakam, 100% Atma, spirit, Bhavam, ecstasy, Na, never, Yatra, wherein, Bhuyaha, again, Parivartaha, repetition, Ugraha, dreadful. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada ki. Only perfectly cognizant for such who is the proprietor of the universes and from the dreadful repetition from immune death. Or bhavam. Bhavam, Prabhupada translates as repetition, this wheel of repeated birth and death in the material. Samsara chakra, yes. Purport. The inquiries of the sages headed by Shonaka are herewith praised by Sutta Goswami on the merit of their transcendental nature. As already concluded, only the devotees of the Lord can know Him. Him means Krishna. To a considerable extent, and no one else can know Him at all. So, so the devotees are perfectly cognizant of all spiritual knowledge. The personality of Godhead is the last word in absolute truth. Impersonal Brahman and localized Paramatma, Supersoul, are included in the knowledge of the personality of Godhead. So one who knows the personality of Godhead can automatically know all about Him, His multi-potencies and His expansions. So the devotees are congratulated as being all successful. A cent%. Cent%. What is cent%? 100%. Right? Cent% means fully, yeah, highest level. A cent% devotee of the Lord is immune to the dreadful material miseries of repeated birth and death. The translation again. Only by making such inquiries in this world can one be successful and perfectly cognizant. For such inquiries invoke transcendental ecstatic love unto the personality of Godhead, who is the proprietor of all the universes and guarantees 10% immunity from the dreadful repetition of birth and death. So a very important statement and very nicely explaining how we can immunity has to do with protection. So here it is mentioning that unless we become 100% devotees, 100% surrendered devotees, then we are not, there is no guarantee that we will discontinue this very difficult situation. Actually, intelligent person, this is the point being made here, only those who are inquisitive, who are who are understanding that something is not right, something is not right in the material world. What is not right in the material world? I want to be happy, but so many people and so many things are preventing me from being happy. isn't it? Our natural inclination and desire. Everyone is making so many plans. What plans are people making? Students are making plans to be on holiday. Students are making plans to be out of the classroom so they can play. Because by playing, they're more happy than sitting in the classroom. It's true? No, yeah. Most students, unless one is very fortunate to be, uh, yeah, a serious Gurukul boy. But generally, of course, it mentions how Prahlad Maharaj, um, he was not like ordinary boys. He was not interested in just wasting time in frivolous activities or frivolous sports. When one becomes a little bit, actually, most people are not inquisitive. It's it's a very interesting phenomena. Most people, although they are uh, constantly struggling in so many ways, they they are not inquisitive. They don't even ask the question, how, what is the cause of this suffering? What is the remedy? What is the cause of our suffering? Who is creating our suffering? Hmm? Huh? Which jivatma? There are many jivatmas. Why we are suffering? Who is the cause of our suffering? Who is the cause of karma? My father, my mother? Who is the cause of our karma? Yeah, we are the cause of our karma. That means that we are the cause of our suffering. That means we should never blame anyone who is punishing us. If someone is punishing us, it is not their fault, it is our fault. This is not so easy to understand. No, but he's hitting me. Just like one time, this was in the early days when Srila Prabhupada was in Montreal, 19, I think, 67, 67, 68. So uh, there was one Indian gentleman who started to come to the temple, and he had uh, some questions, and he came many times. At that time, this was related by Gopal Krishna Maharaj, who was in Montreal at that time, as a new devotee, actually. And so he relates how this one gentleman, um, he was very respectful. He would come quite a few times. But then one time there was a kind of public program. Maybe Prabhupada was invited to give a lecture in some place. And um, as it was the custom, Prabhupada would speak for some time, and then at the end, can you sit? This way, so I can see you. Hiding behind. So, at the end of any talk, discourse, generally there's question period. So, some guests had come. Prabhupada had given lecture, and this the first person to raise the hand to ask a question was this Indian gentleman, and totally unexpected to everyone, and especially to Gopal Krishna. At that time, he was not Maharaj. Um, this Indian gentleman started to criticize Prabhupada in public. Um, and everyone was, of course, uh, somewhat disturbed by this, especially Gopal Krishna Prabhu at that time. But anyways, after and then Prabhupada did not, retaliate, or sometimes Prabhupada would, depending on the situation. Uh, Caravan. What is a caravan? Do you know? Huh? They live in a van, caravan. No, no. Can, I'll give you a second try. Caravan. In the deserts, it is explained that, you know what a camel is, huh? Camel? Have you seen a camel? Yeah. So camels are generally found in deserts. Like in Rajasthan, if you go and visit there, you'll see a lot of camels. Camels have a special ability. What is the special ability of camels? They can store water. Where do they store water? Here, backside. Yeah, they have a big container for water. So, caravan means a group. When people go in a desert to go from one place to another, they'll take some, usually many uh, camels will be carrying them and carrying whatever, different things that they have. So they go in a group. That's called a caravan. They go in a caravan. So Prabhupada explains that when they come, we were talking about oasis. Oasis means from one place to another, uh, there's nothing, completely dry sand. But then oasis is a place where they can uh, get some food and take some rest, etc., like that. So as they approach this place that is called oasis, usually it's like when people live uh, in the country or they'll have dogs. So usually dogs, they can see, okay, they can see that the camel's coming, and they go and they start barking at the camels, and the camels are completely undisturbed. They don't care. They don't care about the barking of the dogs because uh, because their work, they are accustomed to so much austerity. Of course, for a camel, I guess to walk in the desert is natural, and they have their supply of water, so no problem. But they walk a long, long distance. So this barking of the dog for them is like mosquitoes, nothing, not. doesn't disturb them. So this example is given when we know that the goal of life is actually to get out of this material world to avoid what is called here this the word is here the word is used yeah, just like we have Ugra Narasha in Sri Ramayapur. So Ugraha means dreadful, very scary, very fearful. Um, we have forgotten, but actually to take birth is a very uh, traumatic, dreadful experience. Uh, Prabhupada explains how, you know, reminds us how for 9 months we are packed up inside the womb of the mother. Not a very nice situation, you know. Um, and our body is surrounded by all kinds of nasty liquids, and uh, when we remain in that very uncomfortable for such a long period, and then we come out. Sometimes babies will die. Even mothers may die also because birth is a very uh, very painful experience for both the mother and the child. So just like the camel who's accustomed, who knows that it has a long distance, and who's accustomed to accepting austerity. Similarly, that's why it's so important uh, to be inquisitive as to what life is about, to know that our primary, most important goal or objective in life is to become disassociated or disconnected with anything material, uh, to not be bothered. If we allow ourselves to be disturbed by what people do to us or tell us, then we develop some animosity. We become angry. Anger is actually, Grandfather Bhishmadev explains that anger is the first of different, um, let's say, reactions that we should avoid. What is generally causing anger? Uh, it is directly connected with Rajaguna. Um, it is connected with kama, yeah, unfulfilled desire. Our on the material level or platform, we have so many material desires. One of them is to be respected and to be valued. When somebody criticizes us, then if we are on the bodily platform, we become disturbed, we become angry. So all of these material reactions, they further entangle us in the material world. So that's why in the Bhagavad Gita it is mentioned that an intelligent person, janmam ritu jaravyadi dukkha dosa nudarshanam, he will understand that actually these are the four main and in many ways, they are the only real problems of life. One who is in Gurukul, especially, because this is so so often mentioned and explained in the Shastra, these are the real problems of life. Anything else is not really a problem. Anything else, any uh, other kind of suffering, even those sufferings of birth, death, old age, and disease, they're all connected with karma. So therefore, the solution is being given here. By being inquisitive, one will mm, one can become successful and cognizant. Cognizant, one will be developing transcendental realization. Uh, Means when one becomes, here it mentions, 10% devotee, 10% realized, then it completely transcends all kinds of realities or miseries of the material world. So this verse is reminding us of the importance of this is Sutta Goswami. In other words, one becomes uh, very happy to hear like Sutta Goswami. Sutta Goswami was hearing questions from the sages in relation to um, the problems of life, in relation to trend. Only these types of topics can bring happiness or satisfaction to the soul and will allow one to, uh, of course, by the mercy of Krishna, to more clearly understand our situation and will, as mentioned here in the text, that we have been experiencing this problem of what is called repeated birth and death. Yeah. One more last time we'll read. So here very clearly it is mentioning only. This is the only process to resolve our difficult situation here in the material world. Only by making such inquiries in this world and perfectly cognizant, perfectly in knowledge. Because for such inquiries invoke transcendental ecstatic love unto the personality of Godhead. So that's most important. Uh, Develop, if we don't awaken ecstatic love for Krishna, then what happens? Our propensity for love, which is meant to be for Krishna, goes some other place. Goes to things that are temporary. So such inquiries invoke transcendental ecstatic love unto the personality of Godhead, who is the proprietor of all the universes and guarantees 100% immunity, immunity from the dreadful repetition of birth and death. Yeah. So any comment on this? Only the devotees of the Lord can know him. Yeah, that's an important statement. Can know him to a considerable extent. Yes. Huh? What is a considerable extent? It means that no one can know the Lord 100% because his glories, his fame, his pastimes, everything about the Lord is forever and ever increasing. And by nature, it is unlimited. So, because we are, um, as minute living entity, we are limited. Although we are internal, we are also eternal, but we are limited. So therefore, uh, the living entity in the material world, even by becoming awakened to Krishna consciousness, can only know to a certain extent. We can never, no one can ever fully understand the Lord. But here it mentions considerable. Considerable means sufficient to get out of the sufficient to get out of the material world, and it will vary from one devotee to another because it's a question of each devotee what relationship they will develop with the Lord. Um, the Lord is unlimited. He performs all of these wonderful pastimes, and he allows different living entities to engage in some relationship with him. So Prabhupada explains actually in describing the highest uh, expression of relationship in Vrindavan between Krishna and the gopis, that there is a constant competition between them actually, which is based, of course, on service. So we should be satisfied that we can, by taking up the process, which is based very much on being inquisitive, on being having this strong desire to know and to understand more. um, that by doing that, we will have sufficient um, knowledge to at least finish up our business here in the material world, stop this repetition of birth and death, and we have the whole of eternity to get to know Krishna more and more. It's like we are reading every day from the Bhagavatam some of the descriptions, pastimes, qualities of the Lord, but the Lord has so many other pastimes. It is unlimitedly described by so many great, unlimited devotees, both in this universe or different universes, what to speak of the spiritual world, who are constantly glorifying the Lord and remembering, you know, the main feature that is going on, the main feature that is going on in especially the spiritual world or some of the elevated planets in the material world are discourses, you know, like we read the Bhagavatam every day. Bhagavatam is also being read in the heavenly planets. Demigods are also attending Bhagavatam class, and they have cantos that we don't have. They have they have pastimes of Krishna that are not in our Bhagavatam. Yeah. So, what to speak of the Bhagavatam in the spiritual world? It's like Krishna. Krishna's pastimes have been going on since time immemorial, and we have Kali Yuga memory, which is not very great, but in the spiritual world, it's like that's the main focus. People are constantly um, talking about and remembering these unlimited pastimes of the Lord. And we as devotees, even though it is Kali Yuga, by the mercy of endeavoring also to hear about these different pastimes, Lord, and His qualities, etc. And we're trying to utilize our time so that it is in connection with the Lord for the purpose that is mentioned here in the text this morning, for the purpose of knowing more, of becoming what is called self-realized, to realize more and more who is Krishna, to realize more and more who we are, what is our position, what is our real nature. And the more we understand this, the more we actually engage in serving the Lord, engage in kinds of devotional activities. And of course, here in the material world, one of the services, one of the ways to serve the Lord is to help Him in His mission of sharing or giving this knowledge to other people and helping in so many ways the Lord and His devotees, the acharyas, in the mission of the Lord. What is the main mission of the Lord? Yeah, it's to reclaim the fallen souls, isn't it? The Lord, this chapter about incarnations. What is the main purpose of different incarnations? Is to actually give an opportunity to the conditioned souls in the material world to put an end to their suffering, to put an end to this uh, otherwise unending repetition of birth and death. Yeah. So every day when we read one verse, something, some aspect is um, discussed that is meant to help us appreciate and understand a little bit more about the Lord, about the spiritual world, etc. Yeah. Considerable extent means never fully, completely understanding about the Lord because He's unlimited, but understanding, yes, sufficiently so that we can get out of the mess in which we are in. Yeah, when we go back to the spiritual world, we'll definitely get more time. All of our time will be for that purpose. But even in the spiritual world, because the Lord is always unlimited, and his glories are infinite. So no one, um, even it is described, that example is there when Krishna is in Dwarka. Krishna is in Dwarka living in his, what is it, 16,108 palaces. And these palaces are bedecked with all kinds of gold and jewelry, and it's like, yeah, all out of this world. So, anyways, when Krishna happens to be uh, sitting on the floor and looking at his reflection, his floor, which is reflecting the image of his body, Krishna becomes attracted. Who is that? Who is that beautiful, most attractive personality? You know. So that is actually so Krishna is attracted to his own beauty. Krishna, who is the embodiment of bhakti, of devotion, he's attracted to devotion. You see, that's why Krishna, he becomes attracted when we display devotion, when we are engaged in serving the Lord, you know, uh, with love and devotion. He's not so. He appreciates that we're doing different things, but he's looking for that element or that aspect of doing whatever we are doing with imbued uh, with love and devotion. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam. Yeah, with love and devotion. So, um, so in one sense, it's wonderful because it means we will never fully, completely, uh, but we will increasingly be able to uh, love Krishna, appreciate Krishna, understand Krishna, realize Krishna. And that will, you know, that will go on for eternity. Otherwise, we're just rotting here in the material world, going around in circles. Ah, Tushanticha, Tushanticha, Ramanticha. Yes, that is the when devotees are engaged in serving the Lord and discussing about the Lord, then they this is mentioned here also. They gradually develop this bhava, this this ecstasy in knowing about the Lord. Yeah. Okay. Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Gaur Premanandi.